Welcome to the Red Pearls of Borneo, a deduction game where we're a psychic detective investigating the case through our mind's eye. It starts with a letter, top secret, confidential, what happened in Borneo, 12th of April, 1948, London. Dear Miss Delphine, I trust this correspondence finds you in good health and that the spring air is proving a welcome relief after the winter's chill. I must apologize for the sudden nature of this letter, as we have never been formally introduced. However, I was given your name by a mutual acquaintance in Oxford who spoke with great conviction of your unique gifts. He assured me that where the conventional authorities reach their limit, your investigation begins. It is that hope, perhaps a desperate one, that compels me to write to you today. They told me it was the war, that my father, my sister Lune, that they were just casualties of the occupation. But I know better now. They were gone long before the Japanese landed. I was stuck here in London during the Blitz, unable to reach them. My father, Jeremiah, had been running the Goodwill tobacco plantation in North Borneo for decades. It was our paradise. Now they say it's a graveyard. I've spent every penny of my inheritance chasing ghosts. Letters to the colonial office, bribes to sailors, and this is all I have. A box of scraps, a map, some photos. You are as sensitive, I am told. That's why they call you people. Please, I need to know what happened to them. Access the memories attached to these items, find the truth. Enclosed are the few photos I managed to recover. The only thing I know for sure is what little the colonial office told me. Jeremiah Goodwill was alone in the study at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, 16th of December, 1941, when he placed a telephone call to the local authorities regarding the arrival of an unannounced and unexpected guest. Please help me put them to rest. J. Goodwill, Jr. So that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be looking into this family that, well, they were killed, but it's the truth about how that occurred. It does take place in Borneo and obviously take place in a British colony and then before the Japanese invade. So obviously it's going to be dealing with realities of that time. There was a warning about language that's to do with the period. I did put on the censored version, so there won't be any inappropriate language in this recording. But I just wanted to mention the general setting in case that's not something for you. Delphine, that's Aston. I have a map of the plantation, and I am only aware of the study as a location so far. I have been provided with photos of everyone who was known to be present at the premises at the time, but I only have the name of my benefactor's father and sister. I'll need to figure out the names of the other guests before I can start being able to connect with them. Right. Let's go to the study and see what we can find. Yes, we're not actually physically there to investigate this case. This is all happening through our mind. So we have the study marked on the map here, but we also have guests. Okay, so that's where the pictures go, and we have Jeremiah and we have Lune. That were the two people that were mentioned. Everyone else, we're going to have to identify their names, and then we have a little inventory. So right now it's just the letter we've received, everything else. We have a glossary, so that actually gives us real information about, yes, the history of Borneo, and presumably over time we can learn more things, because right now there's just this one entry. Well, let's go to the study then. Let's see what we can see. I can feel the essence of the study as I focus on it. It's nearly as if I'm in the room. The feeling is impossible to describe, and many think it's not real and just parlor trick. I don't blame them. There's a specific feel to old rooms. The objects that form the essence of the space become part of the room. Items that remain in that space long enough become anchored to the space itself. Study. Heavy teak furniture, and the smell of stale smoke fills the air. A telephone is on the desk. Yeah, so we can only see as much as our psychic power allows us to see and feel. I know that Jeremiah was alone at 4 p.m. in the study. If I focus hard enough on Jeremiah, I should be able to see echo of what happened there. Set the timer to 4 o'clock and place Jeremiah photo into focus. A guest can only be in one location at any given time. If you see a guest in a location, they cannot be in another location at the same time. Okay, so it's kind of dealing with the whole, In real life, of course, people could be in different places during the same hour, right? You could move from room to room, but they're being like, no. In this system, like if someone is in one room at a time, then they can't move to another room at the same time. An event doesn't necessarily take the whole hour, but only this one significant event can happen at a location at a time. Okay, yes. Even further into that, it's gonna be only one thing per hour per room. Guests may appear in the edges of an echo in one room and be in another room for the remainder of the hour, but they will only count in the room where they are fully present. Someone saying something from outside is possible, but that doesn't place them in that room. The memory is faint. Summon the echo to reconstruct the event. Okay, so we have people, so it was saying us, okay, it was Jeremiah, and then we have the study and we have the timeline. So this is happening across 24 hours from Tuesday to Wednesday. And yes, we have to pick 4 o'clock. And then we focus. Was this? Okay, so we have a global timeline as well, but right now we only know about the study. I assume as we go on, we're gonna unlock more and more places where people have been. So we have to basically track where everyone has gone across this day. Let's try this focus thing. Jeremiah Goodwill is in the study speaking to someone in the corridor. And you left him with Lune? What were you thinking, man? Yes, go tell her to fetch towels, that's fine. I'll deal with notifying the authorities. I think this is immediately going into that whole mechanic of the other person doesn't count as being in the study, they count as being in the corridor. So if we can figure out who he's speaking to and learn about the existence of the corridor as a room, then we may be able to see that memory. Jeremiah Goodwill picks up the rotary telephone and starts speaking into the receiver. We can press on the telephone. That discovers it as an item. Delphine can focus on items like the telephone here. You can go to the phone on the item screen in the inventory and attune to it by attributing the correct owner to it. Once the owner has been identified, Delphine can feel the aura of the person using the item at any given time and see the echo of what happened in its presence. Given that Jeremiah is the owner of the plantation, it is likely that he is the one who uses the telephone most often, and therefore it's likely to be him that I need to attune it to. Okay, so it's not only rooms, it's also items. But for now, we'll remain here. District Officer, this is Jeremiah Goodwill at the Goodwill Plantation. I want to log an unexpected visitor, a Mr. Lucas Sterling. Okay, so it's not even a mystery visitor that we know nothing about. Immediately we get the name. Who moored his raft at my dock. He claims to be the solitary survivor of a pirate outrage on the coast. Would you be so good as to notify the constabulary? We've got the constabulary and that unlocked something. The marine wing of the North Borneo Armed Constabulary is the closest thing to a coast guard in the British parts of North Borneo. They operate small, armed motor launches that patrol the coast before the Japanese invasion. We've unlocked the maritime rules in the glossary. So that will be more historical facts. We can look into this in a bit. Furthermore, I should like to inquire if there have been any reports regarding Royal Navy vessels currently unaccounted for in these waters. The chap's story is fishy, very fishy indeed. Okay, so he doesn't believe him at all. The survivor strikes me as a young pup, altogether too cheeky for my liking. My head, Yaga Kanan. The yellow words there seem to be glossary words. A Yaga is a guard. Sikh or Punjabi men were commonly employed as watchmen across British Borneo, typically wearing form or turbans or highly colored buttoned tunics. Does that match up with anyone here? Yes, there is actually a single man in a turban here. Oh, but I haven't picked up his name yet. Mayhediaya Kanan interrogated him at the boathouse. 2 strangers. I have their photos and now their names. I need to remember that indigenous people of Borneo often do not have a surname, so I should be able to identify Kanan with just his first name. Okay, that's a useful tip, because I was like, okay, I have the one name. Where's the rest of it? If Delphine can figure out who they are based on the context, she can assign a name to their face in the guest case file. Yes, I was expecting that. Like, having played a bunch of those games, I was already looking for, okay, where can I write that down? Yes, interrogate him at the boathouse, so I assume that's a new location. Yeah, I don't care for his manner one bit. A description: he's young, in his 20s I'd say, with a haircut that's altogether too styled for my liking. Like one of those Americans on the silver screen. He might well be the victim he claims, but for all I know, he's a common scoundrel. For a scout for the... I assume this is an inappropriate word for the Japanese. I shall ring again by the first light. I expect you to have the particulars by then. Much obliged. Jeremiah Goodwill puts down the phone. Someone knocks on the door. unknown person. Tuan Bon is waiting for you in the library. That's another location. If someone's in the edges of the space during the event, I do not need to know who they are. They will just remain as ghostly forms in the shadows. So we didn't need to identify them for this location. But again, if they knock on the door, they're likely in the corridor, like the other person was that he was speaking to, so that may be relevant later. Tuan Bone, that's probably a name, but not a name we can click on. So we're just gonna leave this for now. So I would like to now go and see if I can identify as this guard, therefore, as Kanan. Yeah, there we go. Identity confirmed. So that's that. Now, the Lucas guy, because she was implying that we should be able to make an identification. The main thing said about him was that, oh, I don't like him because he looks young and his hair is too styled. So there is only a few men remaining here, right? We have this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, so not too many. Those two guys here and here, they look fairly older, right? That wouldn't immediately jump to, or like they're in their 20s. And then between this guy and this guy, I would say he's got like, you know, styled hair, because this guy is wearing a cap, so you can't really tell much about it. So is this therefore Lucas? Yes, Lucas Sterling. And that's confirmed. So we've got those two identities down, so presumably we will be able to follow up on his arrival and what he said to whom. Okay, that's one event scene. Now we get the library and we get the boathouse. So that's the information we got from this event. Now, the next thing we know is that Kanan interrogated Lucas at the boathouse. Presumably saying that in the past tense means that's already happened, so that would have happened at 3 o'clock. So if we try and go to the boathouse, a sagging structure of salt bleached wood. Inside, tattered fishing nets hang from the rafters. So Jeremiah said Kanan was interrogating Lucas at the boathouse. I'm assuming that was in progress before Jeremiah made the call. Yes, I assumed that too. If Delphine selects Lucas and Kanan and focuses at 3 o'clock, she should uncover the echo of that interrogation. Okay, this is still like tutorial, so they're telling us everything we want to do. But since I've played a bunch of games like that, I'm already like zeroing in on the information. The numbers in the red bubbles on the timeline are hints. They indicate how many clues to events you haven't discovered in this scene. By discovering this interrogation between Lucas and Kanan, you will have decreased the hint number in the study at 4 p.m. from 2 to 1. Okay, I was wondering about this because, yes, in the study it was saying like 2 and I was like, doesn't mean there were 2 people here? But then it was like, well, some of them were in the corridor and that supposedly don't count. So yes, this tracks if we have followed on information that was given to us there. So at least it will help us in the way of like, if you don't know where to go, but there are still numbers around, that means you have to go back to this conversation and figure out what is trying to tell you. So Kanan interrogated Lucas at the boathouse at 3 o'clock. He did indeed. I see someone pulling a small raft onto the dock. He seems like a prim and proper young man, but his uniform is tattered and soaked with blood and mud. It's Lucas Sterling. He's looking exhausted. Kanan's large frame is blocking his path, hand on his sheathed sword. Kanan, halt! Not under step. Who are you? What are you doing here? Lucas. My good man, 1 minute. Just let me explain. Can I talk to your master? This is a British plantation, am I correct? I could tell from a distance when I saw that steam engine and an unmistakable croquet lawn. You have to respect a nation that will doggedly try to recreate the English lawn in the jungle. And a damn fine job they did, I might add. It feels like home, away from home. Lucas has managed to get on shore and is now close to Kanan, trying to charm his way into the house. But I'm not sure Kanan is buying it. Yeah, so he just shows up on this boat, pretending that he's been attacked. But his uniform is in a bad state, but then he's all like clean face and hair style, as if he just put on the dirty clothes. So that's immediately suspicious. I'm not here to cause any trouble. I seek asylum for the night. My ship was attacked by pirates just off the coast. I managed to hide behind a piracy grill in the officer's cabin, but the rest of my crew, they were all massacred. So what's the piracy grill? The threat of pirate hijack was so common that steamships in the 1920s were equipped with piracy grills. heavy iron bars and gates that separated the bridge and first-class quarters from the rest of the ship, essentially turning the officers' area into a fortress. Okay, so he says he's managed to use that to save himself, but no one else did, only him. I'm with the British government. We were carrying a cargo of chandu, but the pirates took everything. Chandu is refined opium, boiled and fermented into treacle-like paste. It was a government monopoly in many colonies. Kanan, you are far too young to be an officer on Royal Navy ship. Why would they put someone your age in charge? And if you are not, how did you manage to get behind the grill, but not the actual officers? Yes, good questions, Kanan. He's got his interrogation skills. Kanan gets really close to Lucas Sterling, his hand tied on the hilt of his sword. And it's mighty suspicious you're the only one left alive. You are going to turn back, jump on the raft, and take me to the boat. I'm going to check the veracity of your story. There's no need for that. There's nothing there but the gruesome sight of my dead crewmates, I tell you. Lucas is being remarkably evasive. There's something more to his story. I best make a note of this. I'll come back to it later. A woman's scream can be heard in the background. It's coming from an observation deck, perched on the edge of the cliff, overlooking the South China Sea. The sound distracts Kanan long enough to stop the line of questioning dead in its tracks. A young woman intervenes, getting in between the two men. No points for guessing that is Lune Goodwill, looking giddy. Yes, very suspicious, this man. Obviously, right now it's just being like, oh, he arrived then and then they all died, so did he do it? But obviously, so much more could have happened, right? This is merely the two first scenes of this mystery. So Lune joins them, so I assume we now skip to the next hour and then the three of them are in the boathouse. Either that or just Lune and Lucas, because I thought like it was maybe Kanan that then goes to talk to Jeremiah from the corridor, but we'll see. So there are no new identities here because Lune is already identified. So if we stay at the boathouse, but go to 4 o'clock, is it just adding Lune or do we remove Kanan? Okay, it's still all three of them. Lune. Oh, stop it, Kanan. Father will want to see him. Let him come through. Lune Goodwill rushes to meet Lucas Sterling, holding out her hand for a handshake. Don't mind him. My name is Lune Goodwill. What's your name? Okay, we can still collect her name even though we already know it. My name is Lucas Sterling. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, young lady. Lune. Come with me to Veranda to meet everyone. My mother Teresa is already there, having her first sundowner. My research shows that a sundowner is local colloquialism for an evening drink taken when the sun is setting to mark the transition from the heat of the day to the cool of the evening. So yes, he's just in the veranda having a drink. I was there too, and so was Father. We watched you arrive on your raft. Father rushed off to the study. To tell on you, I'm sure. He can be so paranoid. He'll be back by 6 for his sundowner. Okay, that's quite a bit of information. So at 3 o'clock, Lune and both her parents were all in the veranda. And now at 4 o'clock, because both Lune and Jeremiah left, Teresa might be alone in the veranda, unless there are other people that she's not mentioning. And then Jeremiah will eventually return, unless obviously whatever happens after the phone call means he will change his plan for having a drink. Lucas, Miss Goodwill, I don't mean to be rude, but I've just experienced the most traumatic event of my life. Could you point me to somewhere I can freshen up and get some clean clothes first? If it's not too much to ask. Yes, she's got quite the attitude of like she sees a man who's like covered in blood and mad and he's like, oh yeah, you wanna come meet everyone, have a drink? Not like, oh, what happened? Lune, oh my, where are my manners? Of course, Mr. Sterling. Come with me. I will show you to the guest house. Kanan, can you tell Asiya to come to the guest house with fresh guest towels for Mr. Lucas? She was just in the kitchen. Thank you. So at 3 p.m, Asiya will be in the kitchen, potentially with Lune, right? Because otherwise how would Lune know this? Kanan bows. He may not approve, but he respects the young woman. Kanan, of course, little mem. I'll go find her. So little mem is a glossary term. Mem is a specific title for the lady of the house. I gather that little mem is the affectionate term used by the servants to refer to Lune. Lune Goodwill smiles and focuses her attention back to Lucas Sterling. Come, let's go. So they're going to the guest house, so that will be for the next hour, 5 o'clock. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of information here about locations that people might be. And so says the timeline, because there are 4 separate things. Now, we know about this whole veranda with her mother Teresa and the father, but we probably can't use that information yet because we haven't identified Teresa. And looking at the portraits, there's obviously few women here. And I mean, if we're saying she's the lady of the house, this woman here, like, is holding a drink and looking all serious, distinguished and all that. So to me, it's highly likely that this is her, but I'm not sure it's yet the time to be making this identification, so I may give it a little bit more. See if the game offers me more information. Oh, I forgot to click on Isia. Isia must be local servant girl. There's only one in my pile of photos. I'll assume it's her and identify her now. Okay, I wasn't even going there. Oh, apparently the game just did identify her down here. That's fine, I guess. We didn't need to gather any more information. Obviously, there are some assumptions to be made potentially based on the appearance of people. If we're saying local, there obviously would be someone from Borneo, and British people are likely to be white in this set, but not sure that's something you can immediately always tell from just the sketches here. So we have the servant girl, but since the game was like, oh, let's just give you the servant girl, I assume we're supposed to follow her track for now. So at 3 p.m., so we have a few more places added, so we know like where in terms of layout there also are. So we were at the boathouse here. The veranda's here where they were having a drink, and that's why they were able to see him arriving on this boat. Then the guest house is a bit in the back, and the observation deck is here, so that's where the screams were coming from that distracted Kanan. And here's the kitchen. So again, if we're talking about the servant girl, Lune says she was in the kitchen before, so let's see if we can uncover something there. Kitchen, located at the back of the building to keep the furnace heat away from the main rooms. So 3 p.m. before the conversation at 4, she was in the kitchen. Was she alone? Yes, she was. Isia is busy preparing snack for sundown. She's shelling peanuts for kacang. Kacang means bean or nut in Malay. Usually peanuts roasted with spices. A voice calls out from the window. I just saw the German man in the hat by the jungle entrance. You told me to let you know. There's a jungle entrance and a German man. Thank you. I will go meet him in the usual spot. Can you take over? This need to go to Mrs. McIntyre in the veranda. Okay, that's a new surname. We know there's Teresa, Lune's mother, but I was expecting her to be called Goodwill because of the whole she's the mother and presumably at the time the parents would be married. But we'll see, because there are other women that we still haven't identified, so she just might be referring to another person. But it probably just lets us know that there was also Mrs. McIntyre in the veranda on top of the other people we already know from Lune about. So that's just a short one. Because we don't have the people at the veranda identified as pictures, can't go there yet. But we know that Lune and Lucas headed to the guest house. So let's see if we can dig up something there. Guest house. Sparse and functional with many beds to accommodate unexpected guests. So they went there after the 4 p.m. conversation, so presumably at 5. The individual's selection changes based on time because it already logs out the people that were in different places at the time. So here I'm presuming Lune and Lucas went to the guest house together. Yep. Lune Goodwill is escorting Lucas Sterling to the guest house. Lune. The guest house on the right here, just past the wash house. Lucas Sterling stops. Lucas. Can I use the wash house now, quickly? Is there water? Lune. Oh yes, we always have water. Follow me. Do you not want to wait for Isia to come with fresh towels first? Lucas. I just really need to get cleaned up. In this heat, I will dry very quickly. Lune. Oh, but you must wait for the towels. Lucas. I shall be quite all right. Is this it? Lune Goodwill nods. Lucas Sterling opens the door and steps inside. He takes off his tattered uniform and just holds onto a pouch that he was hiding under his jacket. So the pouch is a new item, okay, because I haven't actually done this whole thing where the telephone, we could identify it and then we have a pouch there. So probably maybe should look into the items mechanic next. Lucas Sterling grabs a gayong. A gayong is a traditional plastic or metal ladle used for scooping water from a jar or bucket for bathing. To scoop cold water from the Shanghai jar, lots of terms. Large ceramic Shanghai jars are commonly used in colonial houses to store cool water for bathing in the tropical heat. I was like, yeah, he's about to pour cold water over himself, but yes, I guess it's really hot there. And pours it over his hair, face, and body. a look of pure satisfaction on his face. He scrubs away all the mud and blood for quite a while. When he finally stops, he just stands there for a minute and looks down at his right hand. It's trembling uncontrollably. Lucas Sterling starts to sob quietly. Lucas, compose yourself, man. It's over. You made it. You're safe. He looks around the small room. The floor is made of stones to prevent wood from rotting. The floor is sloped towards the drain that leads out into the garden. He jumps as he hears Isaiah arrive. He stays still for a minute, listening to Lune and Isaiah's conversation, and waits for Isaiah to leave before he resumes his search. Lucas Sterling notices a loose stone on the floor. He pries it up and hides the pouch underneath it before replacing it. Lune Goodwill, from outside the door. I have the towels and some clean clothes. It's starch whites. I hope that's all right. Starch whites are the standard attire for men in colonial houses, starch white shorts and white knee-high socks and a white shirt. They are clean and pressed and often smell of lavender or similar fragrances. They are not practical for work, but they are used to maintain an ill-conceived illusion of British superiority. Yes, those are the clothes for the people that do not work, and specifically wear such clothes to signal to people that, yes, you're too good for manual labor. It's all that men wear here. It's not as fancy as what you used to, I'm sure. Can I pry the door open and hand them to you? Lucas Sterling lets his hand out the door and Lune Goodwill places the towels and clothes in them. Lune, I hope they fit. They belong to a young cousin of my father who died from the fever. He was about your height, I reckon. Okay, yes, it was the time where you just randomly had relatives that died of various diseases. And it was like, yeah, that just happens. One must be mean Blackwater fever. By far the most feared cause of death for young Europeans in the tropics. It's a terrifying complication of repeated malaria infections and fatal within days. Don't worry, the clothes are clean. Yes, you're not gonna get anything. Just wear this dead man's clothes. Lune Goodwill is waiting patiently for Lucas to finish drying himself. My parents divorced a year ago. My mother has been well. You'll see it soon. Okay, so that might be that she's actually Mrs. McIntyre, then if they divorced, she may have gone back to her name. She's a lovely woman. She was the most beautiful woman in the whole of Sabah when she was younger, but the sun took its toll over the years. Sabah is the largest state of Borneo. It is bordered by the states of Sarawak and Kalimantan to the west, and the Philippines to the east. It's ruled by the British North Borneo Chartered Company, a private company that was granted a royal charter by the British government back in the 19th centuries. Yes, the British were just like, this land, it belongs to you, doesn't matter who lived there before. We say so. I presume the mother is still British, right? She's not a local woman, even though she was the most beautiful woman in the whole of Sabah. She means that like they were already living there as part of the colonies. My parents divorced and my father remarried within weeks. My mother drinks a lot now, so she still lives here with her ex-husband. I guess hard to move away in this sort of living situation. So she might be Mrs. McIntyre, and then there is a Mrs. Goodwill, but that's not Mother of Lune. But she's lovely, you'll see. And I have a brother in London. He's left for boarding school when I was a baby. But I think you know that already, don't you? Okay, so she thinks that he knows of them? Yes, that's the brother that hired us to investigate. Lucas Sterling comes out of the washhouse, looking at Lune Goodwill with curiosity. Lucas, I don't know what you're talking about. Lune, bosh. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Lune Goodwill gives him a knowing look, as if expecting him to confirm this fact. Lucas, changing the subject. Thank you for the clothes, they fit very well. I don't know how to thank you. Lune, you're welcome. I'm glad you like them. Come now. Let's go meet the others. Dinner will be ready soon. You must be hungry. They make their way to the veranda. Okay, so now at 6 p.m. everyone will be in the veranda. But yes, it's an interesting conversation here where she just says, oh, you know this already. Like, does she know about him? Does she have some sort of sense about why he's here, who he is? Or is it just like, she's just a young girl, so she thinks like he knows the family or something? It's quite suspicious. So we've added jungle entrance, so there's just something in the back here where the German man was going, like is he doing exploration? Something like that. They appear to have a graveyard here with like crosses and tombstones. So this might be some sort of chapel, like considering they just live here on this one plantation, they might have their own private chapel. I mean, what else would you have next to a graveyard? There is this eye icon, the mind's eye, Tuesday, that gives us all the times. Okay, so that lets us see what we've already uncovered for which hour. So we can kind of see it as this sort of mind map. Okay, that's interesting, but nothing new to uncover here, right? That's just the information we already know. So yeah, let's go to those items. Delphine can use objects to get partial echoes in scenes. They are used just like guests, but they will only reveal what the person holding the item is saying or doing. It will not reveal anything about other guests in the room at the time. Use items to help you figure out who else is with them. So yes, we had the telephone, and we know Jeremiah is the owner of the telephone because he owns the whole place. The telephone has some strong energy. You can feel it being used quite clearly at 2 a.m. by a man with a Bornean accent. Now that Delphine has aura attached to the telephone, she can feel whoever is using it at any time. But she's only able to hear and feel the person using or holding the item and not anyone else in the room. So she said at 2 a.m., a man with a Bornean accent. We can just type it in. Can we actually use the timeline to then use that information? So we can go to the study because we know that the telephone is there. So we can use that. Then it was at 2 a.m. But then Canaan is not Bornean, right? They were saying it's second Punjabi men, which I'm pretty sure it's more from around India. So that's potentially not him. So we're just gonna leave this as a note. Let's see then about the pouch. Because we know Lucas had it, so it's his, right? Yes, it is. And then can we sense something? Okay, so it doesn't give us anything as her saying something. We know he took it out at the guest house, but then he left it there, right? We can't get any more out of it because that's already the conversations we were part of. But that means at some point later, someone might go there. Lucas or someone else could go in there and retrieve the pouch, and then we'll be able to sense them. But obviously we have to figure out who that might be. Right now we don't have any information that may lead to that. So what should our next step be then? Because we know a bunch of things about various people being on the veranda at various times, and then the German man being at the jungle entrance, and then someone was waiting at the library for Jeremiah. But that will require us to know the other people, to know their identities on the pictures, because otherwise they don't appear for us to select. Now, I was previously saying like, oh, this could be Lune's mother, you know, she looks like the lady of the house, but now they've thrown in this wrench of like, actually, they got divorced and he got remarried, so there is now a new lady of the house, right? Like, is she now the lady of the house? But then they call Lune the little ma'am, which is the little lady of the house, right? Like, who retains which title? I'm going to actually give the Canaan using the phone a try. Because, I mean, I just might be wrong about, yes, his accent and origin. There's a person named Jiro in the room with Canaan. I should come back here once I figure out who he is to see his side of the conversation. Okay, so some things are not immediately filled in until we know more information. Partial echo from rotary telephone. Canaan enters. Canaan, you see? I didn't know who to turn to. I don't know who to trust. Stop worrying, Jiro. I'll take care of it. So we add Jiro as a name, but again, we'll need more info to figure out who that is. Canaan picks up the rotary telephone. Speaks in a language I don't understand. Continues speaking. Puts down the phone. Okay. So he's speaking to someone local as well. They're on their way. You should go. They're on their way, like the police, maybe? Or something like that. Little ma'am is stronger than you think, and she has us. So that's in relation to Lune. Is there a problem of some sort? What are you talking about? You can't do that. Forget her. It's 2 a.m. Just go to bed and don't let anyone see you. And wait for the reinforcements here. You go. Okay, so they are calling for help. From police, army, whatever there would be in a colony that could come over and help them with something. So something is already going wrong at 2 a.m. I guess I may take a stab at identifying the mother. Because other than that, I don't know how am I supposed to get to those locations that were mentioned without knowing who she is. So my initial feeling was that that's her here. So that would bring her to be Teresa, and then McIntyre, if she has a different name due to the divorce. Indeed, that's her. And therefore, yes, there is another woman, I guess one of those two, because we don't have any more remaining, who's something Goodwill, the new wife. But that's fine, because that means we can now get some of the things that were happening at the veranda. The place where the family gathered to drink their evening Sundowners and watch the sunset. That's the only use of it. Imagine having a whole building in your house that's just for Oh yeah, that's where we go at sundown. So at 3 p.m., Jeremiah, Lune, and Teresa would be all at the veranda together as Lucas was arriving. Yes. Jeremiah Goodwill enters the veranda. Lune, Goodwill, and Teresa McIntyre are already there, sat facing the sea. Teresa. It's about time you got here. I'm parched. Jeremiah. My dear, what did you do while I was away? I've only been back for a few hours. Did you go thirsty those last few days? Okay, so he was away somewhere on some sort of trip, business dealings. Teresa. Just start pouring already. Jeremiah Goodwill gets to the bar and starts making sundowners. Teresa McIntyre takes a pill from her purse and swallows it. It must be her 2-1 dose for the day. Okay, so this 2-1 bone thing was mentioned before when I was waiting for Jeremiah at the library. So what is it actually? Quinine was usually taken daily with the sundowner and an evening snack, as it was believed it shouldn't be taken on an empty stomach. Almost everyone in Borneo take it every day to fight off malaria, yes. Okay, so it wasn't a person waiting for Jeremiah at the library, it was his medication, which is possible. That means that after he's in the study, he goes to the library and is there by himself. Jeremiah, have you seen Bone yet? I need to talk to him. We're losing the Orient. So here, Bone is a person, but he says he needs to talk to him, so he might be at the library. Okay. Getting a bit confused here, but I'm sure it will become clearer on which part is person, which part is medication. Teresa, what does that even mean? Jeremiah, confound it, Teresa, you never listen. There's no Orient. They have no luster. It's that bloody nuisance of a crimson swirl, I tell you. I just don't understand. Teresa, who says? Jeremiah, they all do. The Tokeis and Bajas and the Japanese. The Chinese Tokeis are powerful and influential merchants who controlled the pearl trade in North Borneo before the war. Yes, because obviously this is all called the Red Pearls of Borneo, but so far this was a tobacco plantation, so not pearls. And the Bajaus. The Bajau are nomadic sea people who live in the waters around Borneo. They are amazing divers and experts on pearls. And that gives us the pearls in the glossary. They all say it. There's no Orient, so they're all worthless. All 10 tons in the warehouse. Absolute waste. The tobacco trade is drying up, but we were starting to really get a handle on reliably finding tons of shells. But now this, I just feel cursed at the moment. Okay, so he was trying to pivot his business from tobacco to pearls? 30 years ago, North Borneo was world famous for its high-quality cigar wrapper leaf. However, by the 1930s, many tobacco companies began to wind up or switch to rubber and coconut because of cigarettes becoming more fashionable and soil exhaustion. It looks like the Goodwill were behind the curve and feeling the pressure. Okay, so his business is failing. He's worried about that. Teresa, stop bothering me with your problems. I was just humoring you while you were pouring the drinks, but you're really starting to bore me now. I don't care about any of this anymore. Where is Rose? Shouldn't you be sounding off to your lovely new wife instead? Okay, so now we'll know that it will be Rose Goodwill, the new wife. Jeremiah Goodwill downs his drink in one gulp and slams the glass down on the bar. He pours himself another. Jeremiah, blast it all. You know damn well where she is and who with. I don't know what she sees in Vitalina, but they're together more often than not these days. So we get a new person, Vitalina, Lune. Actually, your new friend says she was going to go up the balcony to greet Rose after she finishes her phone call. I haven't seen Vitalina yet today. New friend. And she's not referring to the new wife because she's saying she was going to greet Rose, the new wife. Jeremiah, she's not my friend. She's my lady solicitor. Anyway, it's Vitalina's husband I need. Where is Bone? Teresa, darling, he's at the clubhouse, of course. It's the only place him and Dieter can hide to do the you-know-what. Dieter might be the German man, because that sounds like a German name. Lune, I saw Mr. Tanaka go there just now. We're getting so many names. Do you think he's also a registered smoker? Registered smoker, okay, interesting. They keep talking about Bone, and now it implies a person, but we can't click on that. It's not a name we collect. Teresa McIntyre mimics taking a long drag from a pipe using the straw from her drink. Then she laughs. Lune, excitedly. Father, look, there's a raft approaching. It's coming from that big ship anchored further up the coast. Long Goodwill points towards the sea. Jeremiah Goodwill squints into the distance. Jeremiah Goodwill puts his drink down and pops his head inside. Jeremiah, Kanan, go down to the boathouse and see who that is. Don't let them land without checking them first. They watch from the railing as Lucas Sterling docks his raft and Kanan approaches him. Lune. Mother, look! He's young, like me. Teresa. Darling, he's not a child. He's probably twice your age. Lune. I'm not a child, Mother. And he looks very nice. Why is Kanan being so rough with him? Teresa McIntyre takes her drink and sips it lazily, looking bored. She doesn't seem to care what's going on at all. Jeremiah. I don't like the look of this. I'm going to study to contact the constabulary. Jeremiah Goodwill puts his drink down and heads inside. Lune Goodwill waits for her father to leave, then hitches up her skirt and runs down the stairs towards the boathouse to greet the stranger. That's the whole intro to this, and yes, there's lots of names here, lots of bits of who was where, but again, if it's new people, we would have to identify their pictures. But another information we have is that obviously everyone's left the place, so then at 4 o'clock, Teresa should be alone at the veranda? Yes. Teresa McIntyre is alone on the veranda, nursing a drink. She picks up a faded photograph from the mantelpiece, so that's a new item. Teresa. Look at you. Teresa drinks her glass. She stares at the photo with a mixture of hatred and pity. He'll tire of you too, my dear. Just like he tired of me. And then it will be little Miss Seville's turn. You will see. So he's just like marrying the women that live on this colony in turn. And they just all live there and it's all fine. She slams the faded photograph face down on the table. Teresa McIntyre spots someone outside and runs out to greet them. So after the guest house conversation, Lune tells Lucas that they will go to the veranda to meet her parents and all that. So presumably they're all there at 6, because that's the next time slot. So it would be Lune, Lucas, Teresa, and Jeremiah. Did they all actually gather there? Yes, they did. Lune Goodwill and Lucas Sterling arrive at the veranda. Teresa McIntyre is still nursing her drink. Okay, so she's back there. She may have run out for a little bit and then came back. Lune. Mother, look who it is. Mr. Sterling is all cleaned up. Doesn't he look smart? Teresa. He certainly cleans up well. A vast improvement on the bloody mess that arrived on our doorstep. Lucas. You are too kind, Mrs. Please call me Teresa. There's no Mrs. here, just an ex-Mrs. As you wish, Teresa. If I may ask, who exactly is on the plantation at the moment? It feels busy. Teresa. Oh, it's a veritable circus. Let's see. Our neighbor is here, Dieter for Guntram. So, again, that's potentially the German that was at the jungle entrance. I don't know why. He's always here. Then there's Edward and his Russian girlfriend Vitalina. They're all family friends. Bone is practically an uncle to Lune. Okay, so Edward is Bone. That's why that wasn't coming at as a thing to click. That's not his real name. Sorry, Bone? His name is Edward, we call him Bone affectionately, there's no malice behind the nickname. Then there's Rose, Jeremiah's new wife. Teresa McIntyre rolls her eyes. And Cynthia is here too. She's Jeremiah's personal lady solicitor, ostensibly here for legal and financial discussion. But then again, Rose was the nanny, so you never know with Jeremiah. He's already lining up the next Mrs. Lune. She's so pretty and stylish, I love her glasses. Okay, so Cynthia has glasses. That might be important because I think, yeah, there's only one person with glasses. So can we here say it's Cynthia and it was Seville? Because that was in the previous conversation they were having on the veranda. Yes, it is. I don't think I have any information about where she may have been from any conversations, but we'll see. Lucas, that's quite a gathering. Teresa. And we can't forget the help. There is Jiro, he handles all the maintenance around the estate. Yes, that's the person that was with Kanan at night by the phone. Lune, he taught me how to fish. Teresa. Indeed, you've met Kanan, our head of security, a ray of sunshine, isn't he? And Asiya runs the household staff. Heavy footsteps approach. Jeremiah Goodwill storms out of the veranda. Jeremiah. So, the prodigal stranger is making himself at home, I see. Kanan tells me you claim to be a government agent. Lucas. Mr. Goodwill. Well, I wouldn't say that. I didn't actually say who I was. Kanan just assumed, and no, I'm pretty sure you said something about being with the government or something like that, so he's changing his story. A loud bang echoes from the clubhouse. The floorboards vibrate. Jeremiah. What in God's name was that? Teresa. I think it came from the clubhouse. Lucas. That sounded like an explosion. Mr. Goodwill, you lead the way. Lune. Wait for me, please. Lucas. No, Lune, it's too dangerous. You stay here with Teresa. We'll be right back. Jeremiah. Where's Kanan? I would have expected him to have run over here to check on us. Lucas. Maybe he's already at the clubhouse. Jeremiah. You're probably right. I'll need to put my trust in you right now, Mr. Stelling. But know that this isn't over. We'll resume our little chat soon. As the two men run out, I can see the two water women enter into the veranda from the back. Okay, so that would be the new wife and the solicitor lady, maybe? And apparently that gives us 7 separate clues that we have to use up from this conversation. So we've also added, yes, the faded photograph. On the back it says, my darling wife and her lovely temper. So is this a picture of Teresa or is this a picture of his new wife, Rose? Because obviously she looks at it and is pretty bitter about it, talking about how he will soon get bored of her too, but then does Jeremiah own this picture? Yes, because obviously he has a picture of his wife. But we're not getting anything from it in terms of, oh, and we sense someone using it. New profile added, Rose Goodwill. Ah, okay, so that added someone to our guest list, so we don't actually start with every single picture. But because this was just added based on the picture we've seen, presumably this is Rose Goodwill. So that's her. So then the other woman we know about is Vitalina, because I'm like, there's only one left. Obviously there could be more that we've gonna add again through finding objects, but this is possibly, yeah, Vitalina. But I'm not sure we have a surname for her, actually. Because she's not Goodwill. She said it was a girlfriend of some Russian man. So I don't think any of those names are for her. So we can't identify her yet. So in the kitchen conversation, this person says, I just saw the German man in the hat by the jungle entrance. Again, we're just going with like, well, anyone can take on and off a hat. But going by those pictures, we have 2 guys in a hat. But this looks like a fairly young boy, so is this the German man in the hat? And therefore, just from looking at the names, it would be Dieter von Guntram? Yes, it is. Which means I can place him, yes, at 3 p.m. at the jungle entrance based on this. Jungle entrance, the entrance to the jungle. The path is overgrown. So Dieter von Guntram by himself. Dieter von Guntram emerges from the jungle path, clutching a bottle of Kornbrand to his chest. Kornbrand is a German brand of grain spirit very similar to vodka, but often distilled to a slightly lower proof to retain the flavor of the grain. To a British observer, it might look like vodka, but to German or Russian, the distinction is vital. Well, we do have a German and a Russian in here, so that might somehow come to play. He pauses at the edge of the clearing, scanning the grounds nervously. Dieter. Clear. Good. Instead of heading to the main house, he approaches the perimeter fence. He uses a tool to loosen the wire of a fence post, leaving the mesh loose, but visually intact. He tests the concealment, nodding with satisfaction. It looks undisturbed, but a firm push would open a man-sized gap. He tucks the ball under his arm and hurries off, disappearing towards a distant cove. Interesting. So he's also plotting something. I mean, so obviously the timeline of this situation is still during World War II, so this man could be here to spy or more on the British colonies, or it might be something a little bit more silly, like he just wants to meet his lover in the night or something. I guess we will find out. So we know someone was on the observation deck because there was screaming. A high vantage point overlooking the South China Sea, but I'm not sure I have the people, because I think there was an implication that Rose was there during that time that Lucas was arriving, and that's what distracted Kanan. But I'm not sure I know who was with her. Vitalina, but I don't have Vitalina identified. Yes, woman screams heard in the background coming from the observation deck. So was Rose there alone at 3 o'clock? Yes, she was. Rose Goodwill stand alone on the precipice, staring into the swirling green mists rising from the Sulu Sea. It would be so easy. Scarcely a single pace. Would it hurt, splashing against the rocks? Or would the mists catch me? Rose Goodwill leans further out. The wind whips her hair. She screams into the void, then composes herself and steps away from the edge. Or maybe that young man down there, arriving in his raft. Maybe he's my St. George come to whisk me away from this godforsaken rock. Cynthia Seville is climbing up the stairs to the deck. Rose Goodwill violently wipes the tears from her cheeks. She fixes her hair and paints on a smile. Pull yourself together, Rose. Showtime. The mistress of the house must greet the master's latest little acquisition with becoming dignity. Okay, so she's really unhappy, obviously, because she thinks she's already being replaced by the next one. But that implies that at 4 o'clock, Rose and Cynthia are on the observation deck together. But yes, it sounds like the scream is just her screaming into the void. Nothing has actually happened here. So yes, at 4 o'clock they're here together. Rose Goodwill turns back towards the sea as Cynthia Seville climbs the stairs. Cynthia. Good evening, Rose. I'm Cynthia. It's a pleasure to meet you. Rose. I'm sure it is. Rose Goodwill keeps her back turned for a moment longer than polite. Rose. Turning, smiling. It's beautiful late afternoon, isn't it? Cynthia joins Rose Goodwill on the edge of the balcony. Cynthia. That mist is so eerie. Do you know what it means? Rose. The end of days, Miss Seville. Just like the black smoke coming from the south. The war is coming this way. We couldn't continue living like this forever. When the Japanese invasion was imminent, the Dutch blew up the oil refineries and set the wells at Miri and Balikpapan on fire. For weeks the sky over Borneo was stained black. Okay, so yes, so the invasion is basically imminent. I mean, that's what the official cause of them dying was. Rose. The land below the wind is about to face its greater storm. Cynthia and Rose stare out to the sea quietly for a while. Cynthia. So what is the deal with Miss Petrovsky? Oh, okay, so that's gonna be the surname for Vitalina. She seems far too beautiful for a man like Mr. Bone. He's so scruffy. His beard looks like it hasn't been washed in a long time, and frankly, from what I gather of his accounts, he's in decidedly strange circumstances. One wonders what on earth she finds in him. Rose. He's a stony bloke, that's for sure. Love is mysterious, isn't it? Or perhaps it's merely a case of mutual tastes. Cynthia. Mutual tastes? Rose. They both have quite the appetite for the pipe. Opium binds them closer than any physical attractions ever could. That's very dark. Let's change the subject. She's coming. Okay, so then Vitalina joins them. Right now we don't have her identified, but now we have her surname. So we can try this woman being Vitalina Petrovsky. Yes. So we only have those two guys. And now that she said that Bone, which his name is Edward, is scruffy, right? Like that man is definitely the scruffier of the two. But it's his surname also Petrovsky, because I thought they're together but they're not married, right? Yes, that's not correct. So I don't think I have a surname for him. But therefore, unless we're missing more pictures, because obviously there's room, it will leave this boy to be Jiro and then Tanaka? Yes, it is. Okay, so we know who this is. This is who they call Bone, but his name isn't actually Bone. And his first name is Edward. I just have to find the surname. Okay, so then Vitalina joins them. So next hour, 5 o'clock, it's gonna be Cynthia, Rose, and Vitalina. Yes. Vitalina Petrovsky joins the ladies on the balcony. Vitalina. Am I interrupting? Rose. Not at all, my dear. We were just solving the world's problems. Or at least the plantations. Rose Goodwill pours a drink for Vitalina Petrovsky. Rose. Did the Lord answer your prayers? Vitalina. I don't know. I'm not sure I believe in him anymore. It's nothing more than a ritual at this stage. Cynthia. So, can you tell me about this von Guntram? It doesn't feel right having the redacted wondering about the clubhouse, especially with the way things are brewing in Europe. Yeah, so again, with him being German, it's obviously he's kind of detached from the situation because he's here rather than in Europe, but obviously we don't know whether he's sympathizing with the Nazis or not. Rose, haven't you seen the poor creature? He's been trailing after Teresa like a stricken animal this past weeks. Okay, so he's just, as I said, he might be just doing this so he can meet his lover, like he might just be into Teresa rather than spying. Vitalina. It's seriously pathetic. He's been carrying a torch for her for a long time, hasn't he? Rose. Always. But now she's divorced, he thinks he has a chance. He does not. A wet rag of a man. No backbone to speak of. And he's a something. Marrying into that lot is hardly the done thing these days. One simply wouldn't be seen with him. Cynthia, what about you and Jeremiah, Rose? Rose Goodwill takes a long sip of her gin fate before answering. Gin Fates is a gin mixed with several heavy dashes of Angostura bitters, which helps settle the stomach after a day in the humid jungle. Okay, so we have a selection of drinks they were drinking. Gross. Jerry, he swept me off my feet once. I was a green girl, full of nonsense. I thought I walked straight into a romance novel. But once the novelty wore off and he's had his way, well, I became another trophy. Something to be kept on the plantation for the neighbors to admire. I'm bored to distraction, ladies. If it weren't for the gin and the scandal, I should quite lose my mind. Cynthia, you'll pardon me for being frightfully blunt. Vitolina, but you and Mr. Bonfire, it seems a rather rum much, if I may say so. Oh, his name is Bonfire? And that's why they call him Bone? You're quite an inquisitive woman, Miss Cynthia. I crave your pardon. I spend all my hours over the ledgers working with nothing but numbers and statistics. I'm afraid I've quite forgotten my social graces. Vitolina. It may look odd to an outsider, I know, but I do care for him quite deeply. He's a transparent soul who wears his heart on his sleeve. You see, he would move heaven and earth for me. Cynthia. Even despite his habit, the pipe is a hard master, Vitolina. The pipe? It is the only thing that dulls the ache. Those great war wounds, they never truly mend. They haunt a man. But I have connections in Shanghai. I can source proper pharmaceuticals, medical grade. I am making arrangements to have them shipped down to the islands. I merely have a certain obligation to fulfill for a gentleman here first. Cynthia, connections in Shanghai? Are you a Bolshevik agent, Vitolina? Vitolina laughs softly. Everyone has their fears these days, but the truth is quite a bit more prosaic, my dear. I am simply a white Russian, one of the thousands who fled the Reds when our world went up in flames. Believe it or not, my mother was a Grand Duchess of the old empire, but the Civil War is a great leveler. I found myself in Shanghai, earning my bread as a taxi dancer in a jazz cabaret. I was swept off my feet by a soldier of the line, and well, you know the rest. Cynthia finishes her drink and sends the glass down. Well, this has been illuminating, but I must excuse myself. I have some ledgers to put in order in the library before my meeting with Jeremiah later. Cynthia leaves the deck. Okay, so Cynthia will be heading to the library potentially 6 o'clock? So there is a possibility now that Cynthia leaves, Rose and Vitolina remain here? Yes, they do. The conversation continues. Rose, Goodwill, and Vitolina are leaning against the railing, drinks in hand. Vitolina, you're getting yourself in a frightful state, Rose. Little Miss Seville is merely a business resource to Jeremiah. She's not a bad person. She seems civil enough. Rose, I don't give a fig about her resources or how nice she is. Look at her. Vitolina, she's a lady solicitor, darling. Her profession demands she be both commanding and decorative. Rose, do you find her fetching? Is she younger than me? I can tell. Her skin is so tight. Vitolina, you're a stunner, Rose. Jerry chose you. Did he? Or was I simply the only young white woman within 50 miles of this god-forsaken jungle? A deafening roar tears through the air. The crystal tumbler in Rose Goodwill's hand slips and smashes upon the floorboard. God heavens, what was that? There's smoke coming from the clubhouse. Quickly! They bolt towards the veranda. Yes, because obviously the big event right now seems to be that something explodes at the clubhouse, but I just didn't have the names for the people that were there. But now I should do. Because now I know that his name, Bone, is actually Edward Bonfire. There we go. So that's all the people who I have right now identified, but there might be more. More might be added, there is room. So everything points to our next route of investigation being figure out what happened at the clubhouse. Why was there an explosion? Was it sabotage? Was it an accident? I mean, we kind of know it wasn't Lucas because he just got here and he hasn't had the time to do anything like that. But obviously other people are suspicions. We have a German man, we have some Russian people. Obviously it's the war. We don't know how everyone aligns with the various sides, regardless of what they're saying, right? Tensions are certainly high, so we're going to explore that next time. In the meantime, let me know in the comments what you think about this game. It's definitely in line with the more reading and deduction games like Root Trees and the Ratline, which I played recently. And I hear it takes on a bunch from Type Help, but I haven't played Type Help myself. So I'm waiting for the Steam release of that, so no spoilers for Type Help if you want to make any comparisons to this game, please. But we have to delve deeper to solve the mystery of what happened to all those people, because as I understand, no one makes it out of here alive. And in the meantime, if you enjoyed this one, consider liking or subscribing. Thank you to channel members for supporting the channel, and I will see you soon on another adventure.